Hey there, it's James again. Sorry for taking such a long break from the videos. I guess time kind of got away from me. Whoa, sorry. So who wants to do some SAT math? That's what I like to hear. All right, let's get into it. This is problem number 13 on Test 1, Section 3 of the SAT book. All right, let's read through this. The first term in a sequence of numbers is 1. If each term after the first is a product of -2 and the preceding term, what is the sixth term of the sequence? Alright, well this is a pretty straightforward problem. I guess one of the confusing factors might be if people don't really understand what a sequence is, but a sequence is actually a pretty simple concept. I'll break it down and go over a pretty simple sequence with you. Let's just say we had a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's some missing number here that we don't know. Well, this is a sequence where its pattern is pretty obvious. It's easy to see that you're just going to be adding 1 each time to get to the next number. So in this case, we would say, describing it the way it does, we would say each term is a sum of +1 and the preceding term, right? So a sum of 1 and the preceding term, which is 1, is 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, and so on. So it'd be pretty easy to guess, or not really guess, but figure out what the final term was, right? And if we just add 1, most people can do that, we'll get a solid 5. Alright, good. So now let's move on to the actual problem. It's telling us that we're going to have 6 terms, or it's only going to want to know the 6 terms, so I don't want to go past that. So we got 6 terms here, and it's told us that the first one is 1. It didn't give us any of the rest. We know that this is going to be 6th term. 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and it's just asking us to know. Alright, so there's a pretty easy way that you probably figured out how to do this by hand, where we could just say, okay, it's going to be a product of 2 in the preceding number. Well, let's just multiply by -2 each time. We get -2, 4, -8, 16, and finally -32. So that's fine. That's definitely a way to do it. I wouldn't say it's the most convenient way, because what happens if it asks you to find the 100th term? Then you're kind of sunk, and you don't want to be sitting writing 100 spots on your paper. That's going to take up a little bit too much time. So an easier way to do this is there's certain formulas that you can put into your calculator or memorize, or just reason out that can help you simplify this much more easily. So there's various types of sequences that you can deal with. This one right now is actually the one that we're dealing with is a geometric sequence. And all that means is, as it's described in the problem, you're basically going to be multiplying a number each time to get to the next number. So that makes sense, right? Geometric means you have to multiply by some common ratio. So what are we multiplying by here each time? Well, we multiplied by -2. So in this case, we'd say our ratio equals -2. Or we could just say R. That's our symbol, or our variable for ratio. Alright, so now what the formula is for this, and you might have already figured it out, but it's basically saying if you're trying to find some nth term, so in this case n is the 6th term we're trying to find, then all you want to do is you start with your original number, right? You have your 1, and you multiply it by -2. But how many times are you multiplying by -2? You've done it 6 times, right? Or actually, in this case, you're going to do it 1 fewer than 6. You've done it 5 times, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to the final one. So you can see here that we're basically just going to be taking we're trying to find the 6th term, right? And so we just subtract 1 from that. And here's the general formula for that. It's going to be AN is A naught normally, R N 2, or N to the N minus 1. So just going over what this means again, A naught, that's going to be your original term, so the first term is also the A naught term. Your ratio, we already discovered that that's going to be 2 because you're multiplying by -2 each time. And finally your N, well, we're trying to find the 6th term, right? This should have been a 6. We're trying to find the 6th term, so that means N is going to be 6. and we know that we only actually multiplied by negative 2 5 times. So it makes sense that 6 minus 1, that's going to be 5. Then the end gets you negative 32, which is what we wanted. So we know what our answer should be. So that's all there really is about this problem. You can use the formula if you want, or you could count it out if you want. I prefer the formula, but obviously it's not worth the time to try to remember it. I don't think. I think it's easiest just to see what am I doing? I'm multiplying by negative 2. How many times am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it 5 times. And what did I start out with? Because say this is basically our starting point. So if our starting point is really high, this isn't going to make any sense unless we put from the starting point. So in this case, just the starting point was a 1. 1 times negative 2 to the 5th. That'll get you your answer. I think you can use some reason to figure that out. Alright, thank you very much.